first to start off, it's going to be kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Don't see what's over here. Focus. Anyways, my name is Bryce. I'm a female to male transsexual. I'll be answering Barbara's questions that she sent me for the group project. I could start off with the whole story for a while, but I'll just stick with the question she gave me, and from then I will, I guess, elaborate on it. So the first question she gave me was, what is my definition of identity? Obviously, my definition is going to be something completely different than what someone else's is. Transgender is a huge umbrella term that has to do with genderqueer people, transsexuals, cross-dressers, drag queens. It's a whole bunch of people that basically doesn't fit into the particular mold. For me, transgender / transsexual, transsexual is the one that goes steps beyond the process. There's pre-op, post-op, non-op. Pre-op is obviously before any surgeries have happened. Post-op is after one or all your surgeries are done, after some sort of surgery is done. Non-op is for people who choose not to have surgeries, which is possible also. Just because someone doesn't have one of those precursors doesn't make them any less transgender, any less of a person. Their gender identity is what they define it as. It might not be what I see it as, but it's about how they feel, not how I feel about them, which is how identity is anyways. That I guess goes into what should or could be limits for surgeries and hormones. My own personal beliefs with my surgery and my hormones are fine. After having a hysterectomy, which I have had, I have to take some sort of hormones because right now my body isn't producing what would be for either or. So I am on testosterone. I don't need injections anymore because I don't have estrogen fighting back. So what I do is I take androgel, and it gives me enough to keep up my dosage. Hormones could be for people. I believe it's a good way to have someone be comfortable with themselves that can't necessarily have surgery, don't have the funds, or medically they can't have it. Surgery-wise, it's actually really safe to go from male to female. They've practically perfected the art now. I know someone who, 10 years ago, not even, about 10 years ago, yeah, they had surgery in Thailand. They came back to the United States, healed, and they became a porn star. So, and according to them, no one even realizes it. So, if that's free, go right ahead. For trans men, it's a little different because it's hard to make something out of nothing. To have a phalloplasty, you have to have some sort of things have to be pulled out, things have to be harvested and molded, and it costs a lot of money, at least 40 grand. And that's if it even works. Most of the times it doesn't, and they actually make it longer knowing that some of it will die. Not very appetizing in many ways. So, if someone wants to take a risk, then so be it, because having the surgery and taking the risk is a better option than them being so depressed that they want to commit suicide, that they'd rather not live. Whether it's emotional suicide or actual physical, leaving the body suicide. Third question. What are some decisions in sex change process that I feel were already made by society? I feel society makes us think that we have to go through the entire process. That to be a trans man, you have to have top surgery, you have to be on hormones, you have to have bottom surgery, both bottom surgeries really, and it's that I think is what worries some guys. I personally don't feel like I need any more bottom surgery. Once I have my chest surgery, I'm pretty sure I'll be okay with myself. I won't be where I wish I could have been, but I'd rather be alive and okay with myself than be who I wish I was and be somewhere worse, if that makes any sense. Alright, I'm going to continue this on to a next portion, so it's going to stop and start back up. And we're back. Next question. What age did I question my gender, and what thoughts did I have? When I was younger, I didn't necessarily see boys, girls. I mean, I knew I was a girl, but I didn't see the gender stereotypes around it. Looking back, I see things that I'm not surprised that I thought back then that could lead up to being out and understanding being transgendered and being man or boy. What I would have stereotypically been known as a tomboy and then later on as a butch dyke. I'll send some pictures of former stuff to show you. She'll show you after, hopefully, after you watch all this. I never really had a name to it. I knew I was just me. I knew I never felt comfortable with myself. I never liked my chest. When I started puberty, I hated it. I was 9 when I started my period, and it was horrible. Guys will never know how that feels. Anyways, it wasn't till I was at a conference for LGBT youth, the largest in the nation, True Colors, that I was able to put a name to what I felt. I had gone to a workshop put on by drag kings from Georgia, and they explained how they felt and what was going on and what their past was, and I was able to finally connect in my head what it meant. Thoughts were more just like I wasn't comfortable in the stereotypical things. I didn't like being a girl, but I was good. I was good in sports. I didn't like stereotypical girl things, except easy bake oven, which everyone likes because food, right? My brother would have his little race cars, and I'd be playing with his race cars. He had a little Power Rangers fake shaving thing behind my parents' back. I'd take the little razor, the shaving cream and stuff. It was awesome. And I don't know, looking back, I could see that might be me trying to go into that role, knowing that, maybe me using it wasn't what I should be using it as, but wanting to use it was something different. Societal fears. The real big fear is being found out and worrying about people's reactions, because you never really know. You could have someone who you think is going to completely turn on you and then wind up being a huge supporter or just showing more love to you because they realize that you opened up to them about all this. I worry about harassment, about being fired, about being almost like being kicked out sort of thing. Not being treated not like a human being. I used to work at Lake Compounce. I think it's the nation's longest running theme park. And I had worked there during the Halloween season. I was wearing a kilt, and I was like, you know what? I'm binding. I'll be okay. Ironically, there was a group of high schoolers that had come in, and instead of them picking more on gender identity, they called me a fag and was harassing me that way. Little did they know the actual things they were talking about. So I think what we fear from society is more harassment, assault, abuse, which is why we have the Transgender Day of Remembrance, to memorialize and remember those who have passed on because of their gender identity, whether it is because of lack of medical treatment, because of our gender identity and expression, whether it is someone who assaulted us because of that. We've had people who have been murdered because someone found out their gender identity. Partners, random people on the street, even family members. So it's hard not just for worry about society, but worrying about friends and relatives. I was lucky enough to have a very supportive family. I had come out many times before from different things, bisexual, lesbian, etc., before. When I told my mom, she said I can come out as a Martian next, and she completely believed me. But that's the way my family is. We're there for each other, and we try, no matter what, we stand by each other. My mom has been there throughout the entire process. She helped give me my hormones through injection because I was afraid of needles. She helped get my name changed. She helped with the change of the gender markers. She helped with my therapy. She's helped me every step of the way. And I am one of the luckiest trans guys out there because of it. One of the luckiest kids out there because of it. Friends, I was lucky not to lose any friends. I think it was just because of the group that I hang out with, and being in Connecticut, there's more of a chance of someone being more open and liberal about it than someone turning away from you. Alright, this is another pause because these are getting long, so I'll stop here and start it back up. So, going back to jobs. The job I basically transitioned with was at Lake Compounds, like I said earlier. They were pretty much okay with it. You know, I had my old name, but my old name was rather gender neutral, so I didn't really worry too much. You know, working with little kids, I received a lot of questions from them asking. There was a little boy and his older sister, and he asked if I was a boy or a girl. His sister immediately spoke up and said, well, are you a boy or a girl? Your voice is high too. So, you know, some little kids, they have, this new generation have a new way of thinking, and hopefully it'll make everything better in the long run. The management at the park was really good, really nice about it. You know, I was hired as my former self without identifying, you know, hey, by the way, I'm trans. It was before any of the real process started. Really before any of the process. I hadn't even come out yet. But they were really accepting, and they were fine with it. The process actually started back in 2006. The conference that I went to was in March of 2006. I talked to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, so, what would you say if I cut my hair? She said, it's your hair, I don't care what you do with it. So, I cut it really short. My hair was basically halfway down my back. So that was a lot of hair to cut off. I'll try to send some pictures and you'll see random stuff here and there. So the process started then. I came out without actually coming out. It was just I kept going further and further and I didn't really need to explain it because it was understood. We did end up breaking up, me and the ex, for reasons not having to do with transitioning. She's actually been an amazing supporter. I'm still friends with her. We get along awesome. But it took about 2 years later that I didn't actually continue with the process because my views was, if it took me 19 years to understand who I was and to put words to it, then the least I can give them is some time for them to understand what they've been going through and trying to understand what I'm going through. So it wasn't until February of 2008 where I legally changed legally changed my name, and then I started hormones at the same time. In January 2009, I had the complete hysterectomy. The surgery went really well. It was a bigger incision than they thought, but a week and a half later, I was driving myself. So that's, according to, if you've talked to other people, that's a big thing. It wasn't only until this year, actually earlier this year, that I finished off everything. My birth certificate now is completely changed with my name and my birth sex saying male. I can legally do that because of the hysterectomy, because that's the way it is in Connecticut. I had my driver's license changed as soon as I got the letter from the therapist, which was also the same time I started hormones. It's a lot easier in Connecticut to get it done than it is in many other places. So it's very lucky to have a more liberal state that has protection for gender identity and expression. The only step that I want to continue next is chest surgery. That I have to raise, it's about $6,000 just for the chest surgery. And to do masculinization also, which removes any other female things like hips and stuff like that, it would be another $4,000, but they do it at the same time, so it wouldn't be as much. There's a few doctors around. There's one near Orlando that's amazing. There's Melissa Johnson in Springfield, Massachusetts. There's I can't remember the other one. There's Beverly something in Baltimore area, but there's a good number amount in this area. But yeah, surgeries, trans men, your surgery can go above $100,000 for the entire process. Trans women, probably between $40,000 and $60,000, and that's with their entire process. Electrolysis, shaving the Adam's apple, restructuring jaw, things like that. And that's including chest implants and vaginoplasty. I guess my message that I want to give out is just be open, be understanding, know that there's no one answer per person. It's not a big hanging over answer. Each person has their own feelings, and just respect that, and be there for them. If you can't understand it, then just listen. I think that's it. I hope she gets a good grade for this. Yeah. And if you have any questions, talk to Barbara and she'll get it with me. Cool? Alright. Thanks. Bye.